Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Just the Plant Room. Today I thought we'd do something a little different, and I kind of want to do this, one by one, no plants in specific, but I want to call it Plant Flash. And what we're going to do is talk about one plant in specific. So today's plant is going to be a Syngonium. So if you like this type of content, stick around. Okay, so my husband's got me acting a little silly. He says he's gonna leave something in there, and if he does, I'm gonna get him. Y'all won't see him behind the camera. Well, you can't see him behind the camera, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so as I mentioned, I want to do something called Plant Flash, or I don't have a good name, Plant Spotlight. Whatever. Anyway, I want to talk about one plant in particular. And today's plant is going to be this Chiapense Ice Frost. Now, it is a Syngonium. And I know you guys have heard me say that I struggle with Syngoniums, but it's not all Syngoniums. I struggle with like the Maria or the butterfly or the ones that you typically find at the big box stores. Nonetheless, I've had this one since January, February, March of 2023. This plant is native to Mexico, Bolivia. It grows in the rainforest, and it is a vining plant, but I found that when I purchased it, it was about yay high. It wanted to grow straight up, so I put it on a pole. From what I gathered, this plant is it's a cultivar, and I'm looking at the name here, Macrophilia. And if I had to guess, I'd say the other parent is the Chiapense. And I say that because of the shape of the leaves. I have a Chiapense, which I'll feature at some other time, but the shape is really the same. And while this one grows a little slower, the characteristics are very similar. So I'm gonna say it's a Chiapense mixed or cultivated with the Macrophilia. Things you should know about this plant. She actually, for me, she's a little slow, but she is a fairly decent grower. She lives here in the plant room. She used to live on that side, and I recently put her over here where she's got a light that kind of hits her and a few other plants that are in this area. So what I've come to realize is that she does like that bright and direct light. I don't know if she would do well in full sun. You can put her in low light, but she really slows down and your leaves won't upsize. And if that's your goal, then bright light would be better. As far as her soil mix, I currently have her in a chunky aeroid mix. I've only repotted this once, and that was when I got her a couple months afterwards. She's been in this pot for a while, and it's time for a repot, and I'll show you why. Maybe not necessarily a repot, but just get her back inside of this pot. Right now, she's like in cocoa peat, cocoa coir, a little bit of moss, charcoal, perlite, cocoa chips, and bark. And when I put her in here, some worm castings. But this plant gets fertilized with every watering, and it's diluted, obviously, not full strength. And she seems to be doing well with that. As far as the humidity, this room in particular, because there's so many plants, during this time of the season, spring, I don't know what it's going to be like in summer, because this is the first summer that we're in here like this, but I'm noticing now that I don't even have to run the humidifier. This room stays around 55 to 60 degrees, and I don't think you can see the humidifier, but it's registering 63, and I have it on a timer. So it doesn't turn on unless the humidity in this room goes below 50. So that's one of the cool things about this model. I can set it and forget it. Other than that, this plant is super easy to grow. One thing to note is that it is toxic to children and pets and things like that. So if you've got pets or kids that like to, you know, break the leaves, you might want to put it up high. As far as a pole, so I've seen these where they're grown, just no pole, no nothing, left to do what they want. But in my experience, I found that she right away wanted something to climb up. When I first got her, I just put her on a bamboo stake. And I could see the aerial roots starting to come out, so I figured I'd give her a pole. Now you have options. You don't have to use a moss pole. You could potentially use a cocoa coir pole. But for me, I like the moss poles because once she gets past this pole, if I decide to propagate her, it'll be so much easier. And by that I mean she's actually taking water now. Have a little 8-ounce bottle in here, but typically she takes one of these and then one more. If we focus in, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but you can see the root system has already started to form in this plant. She's got roots going all the way up and down inside of here. When I decide to propagate her after she gets extended one more time, it would just be a matter of separating the two poles, taking out some of the medium from the bottom and putting her back into a pole. Because she has a root system in here, that's fairly easy to do and you don't skip a beat. She'll continue to grow. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I haven't repotted this plant since I put her in here, and I want to say maybe about 9 months ago or so. But just before this video, I never take her out of here because she gets water, you know, from the top. I don't water the pot. I picked her up just to see. And yeah, look, she's got a whole, oops. She's got, her roots are coming out the bottom. Now, do I think she needs to be repotted? Without taking her out of this pot, I wouldn't be able to tell you, but my guess, my gut tells me that I just need to take her out, reallocate these roots back into the pot, and give her some fresh medium, because it's been a while since she's been in here. The other thing I wanted to talk about, I don't know if you have any experience with the Chiapense, but these leaves are so much like the Chiapense in that they're leathery. The difference that I see between the two is that this one it sports a little bit of a silver variegation, and the lines and coloring of the leaves is very different than the Chiapense. But they have the same heart shape. And this one is a little bit more pillowy. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's poofy. You know, the Chiapense lays flat. It's not poofy like this. And the last thing I wanted to show was that if you look at the way the leaves have grown, it has a unique growth pattern. It does this side to side to side to side type thing. And I find that to be very unique. If you look here, you'll see how the petioles, one goes this way, one goes that way, and it keeps doing that as it's growing, you know, one, and that's really unique to me. Her leaves have actually started sizing up, which I'm really glad to see compared to the previous leaves. You know, like, let's see, I think this is the latest one. This was the one before that. And they're starting to get bigger, which is really cool because you can actually appreciate the different colors in the leaves and that texture. That texture is really unique. Other than that, I think that's all I wanted to tell you about this plant. If you don't have one, don't sleep on it. It's similar but very different from the arrowheads that you know can typically find. I haven't seen this in the big box stores yet, but they are online and they're more affordable now than when I got mine. They're so easy to care for. Just if you're good with Syngoniums, with the other varieties, you can't go wrong with this one. This one is just easy going. Water her when she's dry, give her a pole if you want to, put her someplace where she's got some light, bright and direct, and household humidity. About 40–50% should do her well. And that's all. pests. I didn't talk about pests. So I've been fortunate, knock on wood. I have not had any pest pressures with this plant. The typical fungus gnat every now and again, but that hasn't been a problem either because she doesn't get really, really wet. The water that she gets from the pole. And like I mentioned, she'll get maybe, if I don't give her another one of these small bottles, she'll get one of the tall ones, which is about 8 ounces, which is probably what I'll give her because the medium is kind of dry. But yeah, you should check one of these out. The Chiapense is really, really cool. All right, guys, so that's all I wanted to tell you about the Chiapense today. My husband is asking me about a doggone light and then turned off. What kind of what? I said bright and direct light. You see, he wasn't paying attention. I tell you, always something. Anywho, you guys, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate your time. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Talk to you next time. Bye.
I'm putting that in there.